Hello everybody, hope you all guys are doing well. So today we will be starting with computer networks. Like this subject is very important whether you are a web developer or whether you are an application Android or a mobile application developer, because at some point in time your application will perform some activity on the web, whether it be getting data through an API call or a fetch call. If you're a web developer, or even if you are using iOS, you will be making a call to the backend API. So like before making the call, like why I mean how things are working, how application layer how you are making a call using the HTTP protocol present in the application layer. I mean, it's very necessary to know what computer networks are at a very core level. Even in system design, like sometimes they might ask you, why do you need load balancing at layer 4 or not at layer 7, at not at layer 2. So I mean, you will be able to answer this question only when you have a good grasp on computer networks. So, these are the topics that we will be covering in computer networks. In the first chapter, we will be dealing with what do you mean by a network? I mean, what is a computer network? Then we will be uh, I would be introducing the different layers in the OSI model, and what is the difference between OSI model and TCP/IP model. Why TCP/IP is the practical one, and why we don't use OSI model, or why OSI is a theoretical model. So as the data goes through various levels of the network stack, the name of the data will change. For example, when it passes through the transport layer, we'll be saying it as a fragment, and then when we go to the data link layer, we will be saying a datagram. Then we will also be learning about why does TCP work with IP, or why does the TCP protocol work with IP protocol. Then next we would be studying about data link layer. Now this layer basically we will understand like at which device or at what particular like in what devices what with what devices are present at what layer in the network stack. For example, you have your modem. Now your modem is basically a data link layer device. Now we will understand why it is the data link layer. Why do you need to perform error correction and then error detection or error correction using different types of methods such as cyclic codes, Hamming codes. Then we will also learn about medium access protocol, like, and a very important protocol that is used in data link layer. Then, as I said, as the data goes through the different layers of the TCP/IP stack, we the name of the data gives something. For example, as you can see now in the data link layer, it is called as a we are doing something called as framing, or we have a datagram. Then in transport layer, we would be studying about what flow control is, and why do we need a three-way handshake, or why do we need to why do we need to have a congestion measure or a congestion control protocol at a transport layer. Then is the application layer. So the application layer protocol is basically when you open a Google browser and you enter google.com. So what that is when you are at the application layer. So then we will understand why like how it is, how the HTTP protocol, or how does the request go through. Then is the network layer. Now this basically is or the major protocol that we will learn is what is IPv6, what is IPv4, what is IP addressing, why do we need segmentation, and then what is DHCP, what is dynamic IP address allocation. So all that thing will be covered in this. Now, miscellaneous would be basically various networking devices such as Ethernet switch, router. We will study this computer networks in a very practical way. Most like I mean with the help of various devices at each layer, so that we come to know how we are requesting or how actually the network is working in reality. So today, to start off, first thing we need to know what is internet. Now internet is basically internetwork, or it is the word internet can be spelled as interconnected computers. So for example, if you are in a room and you have two computers connected to each other, can we say that as an internet? Yes, that is called as that is an internet. But the difference is there. Those computers may be connected via Wi-Fi, or they may be connected via LAN cable or an Ethernet cable. So basically, when we have two or more computers connected to each other, then we say that it is an internetworking or an interconnection of computers, or we, in a more layman language, we will call it as an internet. Now, what is an ISP, or and what is an internet service provider? Now, why do you need to pay ISP some money? Because if you are in a room, you can just directly connect a computer. So there is no need to pay to the ISP. You just need to buy an Ethernet cable. But then why do you need to pay money to an ISP to connect with you? Now, what happens? Suppose the we need to pay the ISP for. Now, what happens is, so let us look at our global infrastructure. Different countries are connected to each other by help of a fiber optic cable that runs underneath the oceans. Now, now there are very specific companies that I mean that work in laying down these fiber optic cables. But still, like we are stuck at the question why we need to pay the ISP. Now what ISP does is, so back in olden times, when suppose if you are in a country A and if you are in a country B and you used to talk using a telephone. Now there is something called as telephone exchange centers, where a person will manually plug in into the line. Suppose if you are say if you are in Canada, so what, and then there is and you want to talk to a person in USA. So what that person will, in the telephone exchange center, what he will do is, you will call at the exchange center and then you will tell them the code, like, look, I want to talk to a person who is in USA and the number is so and so. Now on hearing that code, what he will do is, he'll 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 manually plug in like a wire. So now that wire will manually be plugged into a jack, which has connection to the US line. Now, but the problem here is, the person who is at the exchange sector can actually listen to your conversation. Now this thing, for this infrastructure to work, now you need a lot of infrastructure for this, right? You need to first of all lay down cables in your home. I mean, in your home, you need to have a physical line. Then you need to have some maintenance crews. What happens to the line? Suppose if there is an overhead line that is passing by, if that comes down, or if there is a issue in the connectivity, now you need technicians for those things. Nowadays you also have call centers. For example, I'm in Canada, so you can call to the Rogers technical support team. These support people are basically employed by Rogers, so they need money for all these services. Hence, whenever whenever we hence we need to contact an ISP. So ISP is basically a point in a, so now that telephone exchange which I was talking, now that's converted into internet exchange. So there are basically, but those are now these are not manned, like it happens like it happens virtually, like the connection is established virtually. Now you need infrastructure to maintain those internet exchanges as well. So there are specific companies that do that may help or only work on that point, and those are called as internet exchange companies. Now these companies need to, now so suppose there is a service provider, like if you are in India you have Geo. Now Geo will also need some will have to pay some money to this internet exchange to the company that provide this internet exchange. Hence for that also it will have to spend some money. So hence you need to pay ISP for all these reasons. So namely it will basically help you to provide connectivity between cities, between towns. And so if you need, even if you need a connectivity between two cities, for example if you are in Mumbai and you want to talk to a person who is in Delhi, now there has to be some sort of physical of a center using a physical line, right? This line has to be laid by some company. So this, what they do is they don't lay line. Basically they hire third party service companies, and they have contracts with them. So again they have to pay them as well, as some, they have to pay some amount to them as well, right? Now if the company cannot contribute, I mean the owners cannot put in all their money into this. So like, I mean, if obviously if they put or shred all their money, then they will become bankrupt. Hence they need, hence they want, uh, hence they ask you for a certain amount of money, so that at least their basic cost or basic cost of laying the cable and maintaining it and checking whether there is an outage, those are occupied. Hence you need to pay to the ISP. The other the reason why you need to pay the ISP is, now so like every modem basically has a certain amount of speed that is being provisioned to you. Now these modems are again third party companies. It may be technical or it may be comscope. The role of these companies is basically only to make modems. Now what uh, so now, so as the number of customers increases, is now, so we have a limited bandwidth, right? I mean, even if you check on the coaxial label, that coaxial label will have like a specific bandwidth. Now if suppose if you have million customers, then obviously you will be charging them as well, like they're going to use your bandwidth. And depending upon what they like, what speed they need, so you will be sharing a part of, the ISPs will be sharing a part of their coaxial bandwidth as well. So they need to pay some money to rent that bandwidth. Hence they charge you for that as well. So basically there are two reasons why an ISP will charge you money. One is firstly the speed or the bandwidth, how much you are occupying, and second is basically uh, to maintain the services or to maintain the infrastructure, to have technicians out when there is an issue, or to uh, you know um, to solve problems such as poor connectivity in your home. So these all will need money. Hence you basically need to pay the ISP. So this can be again uh, uh, explained in the diagram. Generally this can be not generally from the modem to the ISP server or to the internet exchange point. It can be either a fiber optic cable or a coaxial cable, depending upon which company providers you are choosing. For example, Telus has most of its network in, I don't know, in provinces like British Columbia and Alberta. They are laying fiber optic cables, whereas a company called a Shaw Communication still relies on coaxial network. So again, fiber optics is again uh, very costly cable, right? It is basically a glass cable that has minimum interference as compared to a coaxial cable. So again, I mean, and the thing is with fiber optics is it will break. It is so thin that even if you touch it, it will break down. So again, you need the companies need money for this. So hence, you need to pay the ISP. Now, when you say data transfer, right now we would be understanding what do you mean by getting that speed. Suppose I have 300 Mbps package, I have a 400. Is it that from the modem to the internet exchange, or from my device to the modem, or from the modem to the to the fiber optics? You will understand that later. Like what do you exactly mean by 300 300 Mbps? The second thing that we'll learn is what are protocols. Protocols are basically a set of rules that are determined. Now you can also make your own protocol. For example, if you have a file sharing app, now you can set certain rules. For example, when first you will check whether both of them are on the same network, then you will generate an QR code. Then the person who needs to send the data will scan the QR code. Now once he has scanned the QR code, then he will receive the confirmation message, and on that confirmation message the data will be transferred. So this is basically a set of rules which has already been set up. So these are basically protocols are nothing but set of rules. Now evolution of internet. Now what actually, now who has made this internet? So initially it was basically made by US military. Basically they were the first ones to have in communication of have to have an interconnected system of a computer. Now the thing is, initially it was built for only for military purpose, but then later on they went public, and that's where you got the World Wide Web, or WWW. Okay, now there are specific companies that have the job of laying the fiber optic cables between two countries. So you would imagine how two countries, how can you communicate between two countries? For example, if someone is in India and you are in Canada, so underneath the ocean there are fiber optic cables which are running. So some of the companies which lay the submarine cables are Global Marine Group. In fact, you can there is a website in which you can directly see like which companies are laying. I mean, you can directly see the fiber optic network. Let me just check it. Okay, so if you go to submarinecablemap.com, you will actually see like which you would actually come to know the fiber optic cables, which company is laying there. You can just see so many of them. One is uh, it's just used, like almost all countries have this fiber optic of in their ocean. So there are two major ones which are coming, which is basically connecting continents. One is from TPU. That is a huge one that basically goes through to the Philippine Sea, and then it connects China and other. So yeah, the owner is Google, and the length of that cable is like 13,470 kilometers. Just imagine how long, like 13,000 kilometers under the, I mean 13,000 kilometers. That is the physical distance between like United States and like China. I mean, this is just amazing, like how these optic cables are laid. Yeah, the website is, you can find these on the website submarinecablemap.com. Then you will get a list of all the cables. You can just like click on the one that you want to see. Yes, how a country is connected. Basically, they are connected by the help of fiber optic cables. Now, I would not, you know, go much deeper into this, but like there should be like a basic, like what happens when we are in this. This is basically an advanced topic to cover, but and yeah, these are very sensitive. So imagine if laid underground, when you go down deep into the sea, the pressure is increases, right? It goes in powers of G, like 1G, 2G. This is extremely high pressure. And remember, fiber optics are extremely sensitive cables. So then, like, there is a very high risk that these cables are damaged. And imagine if even if one of these cables is like broken, the two countries will be left without internet. So that's a very huge loss to both the countries, right? Imagine living in a world where you don't have internet. I mean, after COVID, I don't think so. uh, you can imagine a world where there is no internet. So yeah, and then we will in the coming lectures we will start with the, like what is a packet, what is a datagram. What happens when we run a speed test? Now, what is basically, why do we need uh, what happens during the so basically in olden times, people used to send post, right? So imagine two computers between which you are going to share data as two houses, for example house A and house B, and you are living in house A and you need to send a letter to house B. So the first thing that we will do is there will be a destination address, right? You will write the address of house B. Now suppose what happens is if suppose if you make a mistake in the house B address, now how will the postman and suppose the postman comes to know, like basically you have fast I mean what you say, post filtering centers, right? So depending upon their areas, your suppose if you're in Ontario, so then there will be another called as the another region called as British Columbia, Alberta. So the your mail will be sorted according to these provinces, and then it will come to city wise. So what happens is at the sorting center they come to know that the address you provided is not correct. Now what can go wrong? First is postal code, or you might have entered a location that you might have misspelled a location. So what the post people will do is, so what they will do is, now when you send the letter, you also mention your address, that I am the sender, and you also send the destination address. Now what they do is they will basically then send you back. They will send a letter back to you saying that the address you provided was incorrect. Please provide us with the correct address. Now, once you provide with the correct address, then again it will come to the filtering centers or the sorting centers, and then again from there it will be then sent to the destination address. Same is the process that happens with communication. With that happens in computer networks. First, you identify your network. Now, there are certain protocols at the network layer which helps you to identify to what network are you sending. Network is basically, so wait, if you have yeah, so what will ISP do is ISP will give you a modem. So and that may have Wi-Fi or Ethernet capabilities, right? You can connect your devices directly to that modem, and that modem, the role of that modem is basically it will do the modulation and demodulation, and then it will send your data through the coax line. Now, so basically the modem is the gateway. It is also called as gateway if you refer to a code book called as Beros Furos, and there it is mentioned that the modem is a gateway. So basically it is like the entry point from where you will be sending the packets from the modem to the coax cable, or you might be receiving information from the coax to the modem, and then you might have devices connected to your gateway, and from there it will identify which type of devices, which device should I send the data to. Now a device can have multiple applications running, so then further you need to classify which application has requested for that specific information. For example, it could be the mail app, you might be um, using YouTube. So when you use YouTube, you are basically calling in the YouTube API, right? So it needs to, so breaking it down, what first we need to identify is the network. After identifying the network, then we need to check to what device should I send that, and then we need to identify what application in that device should be sent for. Same is the analogy for of a post and of a letter and a postman. For the postman will do first, will identify which area, or like which state are you are you sending, or which province are you sending the letter to. Second, it will identify to which city in that specific province or state are you sending the letter to. Third thing it will identify is to what specific address in that network, in that city should the uh, letter be sent to. Same is the analogy with packets. First need to identify the network, that is which modem or which gateway has requested. Then you need to identify which device has requested for it, and the third is you need to identify what application in that uh, device needs to access that data. So when you do this, that there will be a lot of data loss as well, right? Because data, as you just, and remember all this is coming in. So if you are using fiber optics, it might come in the form of light, but if it's coaxial cable, it is coming in the form of electricity. So as the distance of the signal increases, its amplitude goes on decreasing. So you will have specific devices to boost its amplitude so that the information that you send is not lost. Still there might be some sort of losses that might be occurring at the modem, so you need to do some cyclic checks, you need to you need to ensure that error detection is done. So those all mechanisms also coming into play. Same is the case with the letter and the post analogy, that he needs to check the address and make sure everything is correct. So those are basically errors in our networks. So that is all for today. Basically this will be a very good introduction to computer networks. As and we go ahead, we will start tomorrow. We will start with what different with the OSI model, or the core networking thing, what is a packet, datagram, and all of those terminologies. Thanks for watching and have a good evening. Bye guys.